I'm the awesome tutor, and today we're going to be looking at the carbon cycle. Now, what is the carbon cycle? It is the constant cycling of carbon in nature, both living and non-living, because you've got decomposition, and you've got obviously respiration and photosynthesis, blah 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 blah. And this is the carbon cycle. Now, you've got three main processes in the carbon cycle. For all three, you should know the general word equation. So for this one, carbon dioxide and water gives you oxygen and glucose. This is photosynthesis. And photosynthesis, for that to occur, you also need light energy. You should know this equation, you should have it memorized. And as you can see, photosynthesis is removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. It's using it as a reactant, it's removing it from the atmosphere. And then you've got the opposite of photosynthesis. Glucose and oxygen gives you carbon dioxide and water, and that's going to be your respiration. And respiration, it provides energy. That's why we respire. And as you can see, it's releasing CO2 into the atmosphere. And say plants, for example, they photosynthesize and they respire. This is a cycling of carbon, putting it into the atmosphere and retrieving it from the atmosphere, releasing and removing. And then here you've got combustion. Fuel burns in oxygen, burns in air and reacts with oxygen to give you carbon dioxide and water. And obviously it's going to give you energy as well. And as you can see, it is releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Where do you get the carbon from? You get it from the fuel. We usually burn fossil fuels. They have carbon that's been locked in there. Now let's go to the actual cycle and a diagram. Okay, so here we have our very own carbon cycle diagram. Now the main molecules that make up our body are based on carbon atoms, which are combined with other elements. So that's how the carbon-based life form of the cow or the tree, that's how they fit into the carbon cycle. When the tree photosynthesizes, it transfers light energy into chemical energy. And this chemical energy is taken up by the cow when it feeds on the tree. And obviously, in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere. And when it's removed from the atmosphere, it is used in photosynthesis to make this chemical energy, or glucose. And then the tree also respires, as well as the cow. And respiration, we know it releases CO2 as a byproduct. So that goes back into the atmosphere. When any organism dies, the carbon compounds are still there. And what happens? Decay and decomposition. And decay and decomposition, that also releases CO2 into the atmosphere. How does decay and decomposition release CO2 into the atmosphere? Because it involves microorganisms. And microorganisms, they are the ones responsible for decay and decomposition. And obviously these microorganisms, they respire, releasing the CO2 from the dead animals or trees back into the atmosphere. So the carbon is cycled. And obviously fossil fuels are also made. And fossil fuels, that contains carbon that has been locked up in it. So carbon locked up. And if we burn these fossil fuels in combustion, they are going to release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. So carbon is constantly being cycled. But of course, the more fossil fuels we burn, the more CO2 we put into the atmosphere. And so the carbon cycle, it may be negatively affected due to this. Yeah, that's basically it. Now I have seen a 6 marker on the carbon cycle, so it is useful to know about it. Bye.